Hello, if you're new, welcome. I talk about topics that are overlooked and follow two other criterias. So like three criterias, topics that are overlooked. Two, it inspires compassion towards certain issues. And number three, just hopefully the video itself can motivate people to do certain ideas that are morally grounded. Basically, I follow these three rules like the three laws, and inspired by a movie, I, Robot, and I do this just for fun and also give myself a little bit of difficulty because I'm not talking on a niche topic, so I go around. It's easier. I get the easy way around, so I give myself difficulty on purpose, to be fair. But I actually enjoy, counterintuitively, I actually enjoy doing it as time passed. And so here's the thing. I want to talk about toxic friends. I think toxic friends are of course a real thing, and I'm very sorry if you're experiencing this sort of situation. It's not fair. You may feel like your rights are violated. There are people who keeps crossing boundaries, or they gaslight you, or they. But I'm starting to think, and don't take my word 100%. But this is a sort of like a teaching of a defense mechanisms that you could adopt. Like, don't treat the toxic friends as toxic friends. Rather, see things as a toxic situation or toxic thoughts. Like, if you ask a toxic friends, have you ever had toxic people as your toxic friends? I would bet you the answer is yes, because usually toxic friends are projecting from how certain other people were treating them, if that makes sense. So like this got me into thinking that there's no such thing as toxic friends. There's only something perhaps to do with toxic thoughts or toxic reactions, which means you basically respond emotionally, focus on aspects that are toxic. I mean, if you really objectively think about it, if you've experienced being a friend with someone for so long, and now you label him as a, or her as a, or them as toxic individual, you actually, I would urge to make you think, hey, is it really because they're really a toxic friend? Or of all the 10 things they did really well, you focused on 3 or maybe 10 or 11 bad things they did? See, that's the pattern. Like usually when you, and I've experienced this way before, not these days, not currently, but I've experienced the toxic people, I've experienced toxic friends. But I realized that what if it's because I was too sensitive? Now, I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm not trying to gaslight you into thinking, hey, maybe it's something wrong with you when something is wrong with you actually. Not because other people are toxic, no. I would urge you to follow your instincts and treat this video that I'm doing more of like an optional tool that you could use to deal with toxic friends. Because my interest in this video is not how you can strike back. Not physically. Don't do anything against the law. Like, don't do any payback to these toxic friends. You know what I mean? But rather, what I'm suggesting is, an option is that you defend your mental well-being by revisiting how you're thinking in certain situations, so you could buffer against the full damage of your mental health. Usually, and not all cases, there are some toxic people that you should stay away from, like not to sound dramatic, but sometimes as if your life depend on it. Like if you know someone's really fishy, like in a very law sort of thing, to stay away and report it, whatever. But yeah, it's important to report bad people. I won't just say whatever. But if it's like, just someone who, not like illegal, but they're just someone who really trample on your peace of mind, then what you should do is readjust how you're viewing it. Usually, a lot of hurts you receive, like when people say something that hurt you, I'm not saying like, oh, it's the victim's fault. It's more like half of the insults that shouldn't even hurt you, actually, at least. Of course, not fair for me to say that. It really depends on what they're saying. But really, sometimes we respond to things negatively because at the moment we feel bad about ourselves, or at least it felt like an ambush in the sense that sometimes people say things that really cut you to the core, and then especially from friends, especially if it's a repeated behavior that make you do things you don't like to do. Excuse me, they sap your energy. They just make you feel tired. They might gaslight you. They may have gaslighted you on purpose, who knows. But despite all that, there has to be at least 10% of the interactions that you may actually view it worse than it seems. Like, like I believe in perception. Sometimes our human minds work in such a way that we make things seem so much worse than it is when it's not. That's why I would argue that there's maybe no such thing as toxic friends, but toxic thoughts, or how you perceive things, toxic thoughts. So like, I can't come up with a specific, very specific example without making it seem possibly controversial. But just have you ever experienced this before? If you feel you can comment, feel free to comment, but think carefully before you comment. Everything you comment, you can't. It might be permanent. I mean, there's some people may actually, I don't know, like hold you, like respond to you, blah blah blah, back and forth, and you may regret on revealing personal matters. But only if you feel comfortable, you may comment. Especially if you're anonymous, like your name on YouTube, whatever. But I'm just saying, you must have had these experiences. If you don't, it's okay. But if you had the experiences of like friends you invest so much time with, but then they just throw you under the bus when they have the chance, and you feel very bad about it. And so you want to get back to the person for whatever reason. You still like the person as a friend, but then that friend keep turning the situation in such a way that makes it seem like it's your fault all the time. But, and I'm saying this with full confidence, that if you rewire how you, I have to be delicate how I talk about this. If you like replay the story or what happened to you in your mind, try your best to seek loopholes first before completely saying that person's toxic friend is a toxic friend. Try to seek those loopholes to see if you're actually seeing things worse than they are. Because I had personal experience where the distance between me and the perceived toxic friend became so big that we might not become friends again. But I do miss how the good interactions, So like, I feel like I may have had too many toxic thoughts, which cut down my maturity. There's a rule in life, like you don't have to get along with everyone in life for your mental health, for your personal time on earth, right? It's fair to say that. But at the same time, I would argue that being able to get along with everyone, with anyone in your life, no matter how difficult it is to get along with them, you may gain certain social skill sets social experience and maturity to be able to, you know, find other good friends, but also maintain this relationship even if things get rocky. And this is, I don't think life is fun actually without any social conflicts. Like, as long as they're not illegal, right? But as long as it falls into the category of toxic friends, why not try to learn to get along with them? As long as they're actually good people, and even if they gaslight you or whatever on purpose. But here's like psychologist experts with like PhD level, like therapists, would argue. I believe they would argue like to cut them away completely. But they would also be open to the fact that maybe if you re-perceive certain things and try to get along with people, like actually fix the relationship with toxic friends. I'm not saying it's your fault, it's probably their fault, okay? But if you fix relationship with these toxic friends before the distance between you and the toxic friend become permanent, you could actually learn valuable. I can't come up with exact what it is, but theoretically, if you learn how to get along with everyone and not prevent the separation, you can better handle the next relationship with other friends, whether or not they are toxic or not toxic, like new toxic friends or a new non-toxic friends. You will learn something from previous experience where you try to like, hey, try to like keep in touch and keep friendship alive, just because you're thinking, hey, things are not as bad as they seem. You could learn valuable skills how to maintain future relationships. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed it, and God bless.